Hey guys, Dr. Andy here. Today we are joined by Robert Ridgway. He is a PA, physician assistant. Robert, thank you very much for joining us today. I know that you've been here before and we kind of talked about neuroscience before, neurosurgery. This time, let's talk about your blog. So welcome, Robert.
Yeah, glad to be here. Thanks for having me again.
Yes, sir. For those that did not see the first interview with you, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so quick synopsis of me is been a PA, physician assistant, for almost 8 years now, which sounds ridiculous. But I've got experience in EMS, ER, urgent care, some vascular medicine, and then most of my experience as a PA has been in neurosurgery.
Okay. So you dabble a little bit everywhere.
A little bit, yeah. Finally found out kind of where I fit. Yeah.
There you go. What was it about neurosurgery then that kind of attracted you the most?
A little bit of I just like the brain's got some cool stuff going on there, and so with neurosurgery is a lot of is brain and also spine. So we do some spine surgery as well, and just that kind of fascinated me, and the opportunity presented itself initially, and I was like, I'll try that, and I ended up liking it a lot. And there's a never-ending ceiling of information to like learn, and so it's like just when you feel like, oh, I've got the handle of this, all of a sudden you realize I know nothing. So there's always new stuff to learn.
I would say there's always new stuff to learn because I feel like our understanding of the brain is still so far from really complete understanding, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Some of the stuff they're doing out there with some of the new brain stuff is just amazing. That's a whole nother can of worms, but yeah.
Good Lord, isn't it a can of worms? Yeah. So today let's talk about your blog, Medicine for Average Joes, right?
Yep.
All right. So tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's basically a website or a blog that I started a couple of years ago, and I usually tell people it's Medicine for Average Joe, so it's a medical blog built for non-medical people. So I figure a little bit of the backstory is the way healthcare is these days for multiple reasons. Just the big healthcare machine ultimately means that providers aren't able to spend as much time with patients as they'd like to, educating them and talking to them and discussing things with them, and so I think where that leads people is to fill in the gaps with the internet. You went and saw your doctor, saw him for 5 minutes. And the reason why that's a thing is that's, again, another whole can of worms, but saw him for 5 minutes. They were like, oh, you got diabetes, eat less carbs, take this pill. We're going to draw these labs, see you in 3 months. And then you're left with, I have all these questions. So you go to the internet and type in, well, what is diabetes? And then you come up with these websites that are either wrong or filled with just medical jargon. The average person doesn't care about islets of Langerhans cells and insulin and glucagon and all this stuff. But they're explained in these ways that I feel like, the average person is saying, I don't know these terms. This means nothing to me. So if I could figure out a way to say, here's how diabetes works. If you can pump gas into your car and understand that gas is fuel for your engine, then you can understand diabetes. So let me explain it in that way. And I figured that would be, if I could just be one more helpful voice out there in the internet for people to have a resource, then I wanted to do that. Yeah.
Well, I've got to admit that it's absolutely a helpful resource, because while when I first saw that you came out with the blog, like 2 or 3 years ago, I remember I first got on there and I'm looking at this stuff and I was like, this is a good refresher, like not just for the public. This is a good refresher even for me because it's not usually inside my scope. Therefore, I'm not like, yes, is it something that I learned long ago? Absolutely. But it's not something that I deal with like on a daily basis. So I guess my dirty secret is I started reading your blog and I was like, this is good stuff. Like, this is a great reminder course for me. Wonderful.
Yeah, to be honest, it does it for me too. Like, there's some topics like that I haven't seen in a few years, but I want to talk about. So it'll make me crack up on my textbook.
That's how you become the expert.
Let me make sure that I remember all this correctly. So
So
I'll ask other people too.
Yeah, that's how you become the expert. Like, so I do like weekly videos for all of my patients, and different conditions, obviously, that I treat, or, like the whole month of March is going to be on like golfing related injuries. Right. So I'll be like, all right, off the top of my head, here are a couple of golf related injuries. And I'm like, all right, let's get really like down to like, what are some really good rehab, really good like techniques, or really good like diagnosis tricks, or this or that. And then I'll dive deeper and deeper. And then just by having to produce those videos or the content, right? And yours is the blog, mine are the videos. You actually become 10 times better at golfing related injuries just by putting out the content.
Yeah.
So what you started the blog, and the timing is wonderful. I think we tried to talk about that earlier. It sort of started right before COVID. So how much of it originally transformed into like, oh God, like there's so much information out there, and we'll be careful in terms of, there's a whole lot of information, not a lot of it correct. Like, how did it kind of evolve at the beginning?
Yeah, well, it first started, I saw there was a need that I wanted to kind of just be another voice or a resource out there for people. And then so I started, and at that time I had a little bit more free time at the job I was at. And so I had time to, really start it up and start writing posts and things. And then pretty shortly after that, COVID hit, and part of me was like, oh, perfect. Now I have all these new, let me write about COVID and things like that. But I'm a bit OCD where I want to, everything I put out there, I want to be factually correct and stuff like that.
I know exactly what you mean. I know
early
exactly
into COVID, everybody's like, we don't know what's going on, And so I tried to write with the mindset of, here's how I would, as an average person, navigate the world of COVID, right? And here's the information we do know. Here's what we think, but it's not necessarily, we don't know that that's the case. Here's our best guess. And because a lot of people at that time were coming out with, here's COVID and the symptoms are X, Y, and Z. And if you have these, blah, blah, blah. But then a couple of days later, like, oh, it's also this symptom and that symptom, not a symptom.
Weird, right?
And that.
Weird.
And I tried to write in a way where it's like, basically any of these could be, apparently any symptom is COVID, right?
Apparently.
We don't know much about
it. Or none at all.
Yeah. But information to give people that they could hopefully navigate the new COVID world with some, concrete information, but then also saying, we're still figuring things out. That's the way science works. And also try not to get, this is, this could get political fast. This could get X, Y, Z, all this. So trying to be very, grounded and saying, these are just facts. This is how it is. And this is how I think about it as a PA, as somebody in the medical field. And if you find my opinion valuable, then here it is. But trying to, I've actively trying to avoid, getting political and all of that, which
I never shared anything like with my patients, because again, outside my scope, but I remember early on when I had found your blog and I had read some of the stuff, I was like, this is such good material, like such a good way to explain things, that early on I was sharing that with like friends and family.
Oh, sweet.
So it was, but we can talk all day about that topic, right? But what is your favorite topic? Probably COVID, while it's like been hit like over everyone's head. Like what was your favorite topic that you wrote about?
I have I have a list of things that I want to write about, but that I have written about. I talked about it a little bit. Probably my favorite blog I've written is probably because it was one that was in my head, like when I started the blog, and it just took me a bit to write it. It was just the one about diabetes. Okay. I thought the analogy there, I really liked it. I don't know why, but it was just, if you can pump gas in your car, then you can understand diabetes. And that kind of encompassed to me the whole point of the blog. Like, can I explain medical things to people so that they can understand in a non-medical way? So that's probably my favorite one that I've written. Yeah.
One of my favorite ones was also one of your earlier ones, which was on allergies. And the reason is that while I'm reading it, I'm reading about allergies, and at the same time, I'm thinking about chronic pain, right? And patients that I see all the time, where it's not a one-to-one, like it's the same exact thing, but it's still on the lines of like the body is having an overreaction to a situation, right? With allergies, you're having an overreaction, because of your histamine and everything like that. But with chronic pain, your body is having an overreaction to the problem, or reacting to a problem that's no longer even there, like purely because you become sensitized to it, or overly sensitized to the problem or lack thereof nowadays. So I remember earlier going through your allergy one, kind of going like, this is a good one. And I'm going to steal some of like the metaphors in it in terms of how to talk with my patients about chronic pain, because chronic pain is an incredibly difficult topic to talk about with patients.
Yeah.
But where do you get your inspiration from?
Yeah, a lot of it's just things that I think about, but a lot of it comes from patients, honestly, seeing patients, and they have, this question or that question, or just repeated, misunderstandings that come up repeatedly. And I'm like, people really, the general public should know this. And whether that's how a disease process works, or some of the more recent ones I've been working are like how the medical field works. Or one of the more recent ones I wrote were about, we have the EMR system, electronic medical records. A lot of people assume things about that aren't true. And so it's more of, here's a misunderstanding that I feel like a lot of people have, and it'd be helpful for the general public to know. But a lot of it comes from just interaction with patients. They'll bring up, things will come up, and I'll say that would be a good thing for, more widespread people to know or have that answer to.
Yeah. Interactions with patients is actually my chief source of topics as well. I've got like a note on my iPhone. It's like every single time, like something comes, like they ask a question, or a patient asks a question or something like that, you're like, that's a great topic. And I just like go into my note and add the note. Or you may have tried this trick yet, or like anything that you find that you have to explain over and over.
Yeah.
Like something that I'm like, I feel like I'm explaining this one topic with every single patient. I'm going to shoot a quick video. And I guess the luxury for me is that sometimes I'll cheat. And instead of having that conversation with the patient, I'll be like, I've got a great video. I'm going to send it to you. Watch the video, explains it probably better than I can do in the next 30 seconds. And plus you get to rewatch it as much as you want. You're not going to go like, cool. And then like forget about it 2 seconds later. Have you ever sent any of your patients to your blog yet? Or you're kind of like a little wary about that?
Patients to the blog? Cause I worry about like, is that like, a conflict of interest or whatever,
no, exactly. I get that. I could see that being an issue in your situation much more than mine.
Yeah. I've never sent a patient like, hey, go check out this blog or anything like that. But I generally assume, well, if this person or these, all these people have this same question, surely there are other people out there with the same question. Maybe if I can get that out on the internet, they'll find their way to it and Google it and get an answer to it. But I've never pointed a patient directly to it. There have been times where, repeated things come up and I'm like, I really wish I could just tell them to read this blog, but I don't feel right about doing that. So
no, I don't blame you. That makes perfect sense. Yeah. I should have you. Oh God, I should like come up with ideas for you. But one be like, you know what? I bet could like explain this way even better than me, like Robert. And I'm like, I'll give you a topic, and then I'll be like, I'll publish it on mine for you. Because you do your blog, the actual website, and then you kind of release it on Facebook as well, right?
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know Instagram. Like, all right, I'll find that. All right.
Technically, there's a Twitter and like a Pinterest, but I never really. Don't worry about that.
Ooh, have you considered podcasting yet?
I've thought about it because I've recently, over the past year or two, been listening to more and more podcasts.
Same.
I wonder, but I don't know yet. I've thought about it, but that's about as far as it's gone. I've been like, that'd be interesting, and then
I've thought about it a million times myself, and I keep coming back to like, I'm pretty sure someone's already said anything that I have interesting to say.
Yeah,
like that's like my main was like, I'm pretty sure like. Yeah. It's already out there somewhere. Like I've got nothing new. Like I'm pretty boring.
Yeah. And I guess I just like, who wants to hear about this while they're riding in the car? Otherwise, like on a written material, they can be.
I do.
Yeah, no. I mean, me too.
I listen to, right? Exactly.
The general public, I feel like they'd be, maybe the medium, at least for me, in my opinion, is like better proceed like sitting in line, waiting for your food, or waiting at a doctor's office, or sitting around. Just that way you can read it. Something interrupts you, you can put it down. You can come back or reread it or pick it up where you left off.
But it's a great resource. And so if I sent off, I'm going to send you ideas. I'm going to of things to type out that would be the most useful for my patients. I can at least share yours directly with my patients. You don't have to worry about the conflict of interest. There we go. Perfect. We found it. Nice. Do you have any, and I know that as you mentioned, like practice has been super busy lately. Do you got any, like you got your top 3 or top 5, like, oh man, I got to get these out.
Yeah. So there's the main goal for 2022 is the blog has been very sporadic. Like when I get a chance to do this or finish this one or this and that.
Because writing takes time.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder than like, I'm not throwing myself under the bus, but like shooting videos, like I can turn the video on and be done in like 4 or 5 minutes.
Editing it and then making sure there's no grammatical errors and all this stuff, or at least they're
Grammarly. Grammarly.
Oh yes. Yeah. Or a mother-in-law who was a teacher.
Was she? All right, there you go.
Retired teacher. So she's been very helpful. Anyway, so my goal for 2022, neurosurgery doesn't lend itself well to like a lot of free time around. So, but trying to find pockets of the day here and there where I could really sit down and say, let me knock out this. And so I can more consistently release material on, whatever regular basis. And so, and like I said, I have a long list of topics that I'd love to get to. I've been focusing recently more on like maybe behind the scenes medical stuff or just like
That's cool.
general medical concepts and stuff.
Yeah.
I want to circle back around and maybe get a little bit more like, here's this disease. Here's the one I'm working on right now is arthritis. How does general just
great
arthritis?
Great. Yeah.
So
That's
stuff
wonderful.
like that. And get back into like, how's this disease process or this condition? What is it and how do I understand?
I'm going to steal the heck out of that blog only because
Yeah.
arthritis is so misunderstood.
You can't
People
catch
come
it.
in. Yeah. And they'll be like, I've got arthritis. I'm done for. I'm like, no, like with that mentality you are, but like, let's try and change that a little bit. Cause there's a whole lot you can do to make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
And do our best. Right. So general, you said 9 to 5, I think you remember you telling me that sometimes your surgeries will go late, but does it at least lend itself a little bit more to a 9 to 5 than you used to have?
It comes in waves, honestly. I feel like
are they not calling you at 1 o'clock in the morning and telling you to come in, are they?
No, well, unless I'm on call, but the call schedule isn't too terrible. So
Okay.
if I'm on call, then who knows?
Because that'd be more of like an emergency case.
Yeah, it's usually
Obviously.
emergencies. Yeah, so
so
when you're on call, anything could happen. But then normally it's I have a nurse practitioner that we've hired to work alongside me, and she's great, and also we get to share the load a bit. And so that's helped out a lot. So like if we have an OR day that's from 7 a.m. to 1 a.m. or something like that, we get to kind of split it and like you do half, I'll do the other half. So we each end up with like a 10-hour day instead of like a 20-hour day.
Shoot. That's sharing the burden to God. That's good. Because I'll say there's one benefit to what I do, and that is there's no such thing as a chiropractic emergency. You might think there is, but I think you're gonna live.
The patients may make a difference.
Yeah, like if you're not gonna live, you shouldn't be coming to me. You're in the wrong place, right?
Yeah.
So leave us, Robert, with what is either one thing that you're constantly telling your patients about how to live a healthier life or how to avoid someone like me and you, or one big piece of advice to live a better life out there.
Really, it comes down, it's cliche. It was just eat better. There's the whole, you are what you eat kind of thing. And I think that's true. And then keep moving. Like people, sit around and then struggle when they want to become active. It's like, no, just stay active from the get-go.
Just stay active from the get-go.
Obviously there's all sorts of things that can get in the way of that, but yeah, eat well and be active, and that can prevent. I mean, you get into the world of like preventative medicine that can.
You just nailed it right there. Those two things right there, and you nailed it. I'm embarrassed probably by how much I say the cliche "move it or lose it" through the day.
Yeah, that's
like I'm embarrassed, but I'm pretty sure I say it like 5 to 10 times a day with 5 or 10 different patients. Just like, oh yeah, you want to know how to? Oh yeah, you literally it's use it or lose it. Like
and I think a lot of people, I'll tell people that ultimate goal is to keep you active, because that's how you stay healthy, stay moving, and all that.
Yes, that's what we preach.
And stop wearing the stupid back brace.
Please do. Yeah. If you want to get worse, go ahead and use that, unless for like certain things. But
it's
everything has the asterisk, right?
Sometimes, exactly.
Or the other one that you said, eat healthier fruits or vegetables. This is embarrassing. All right, so a decade ago, when I'm in chiropractic school, I took it upon myself. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make like a list of like condition by condition, like some really good like dietary advice for my patients in the future. And I'm going like condition by condition. And so it's like, looking up best evidence, and like every single one was like fruits and vegetables, fruits and vegetables, fruits and vegetables. Like I'm noticing a common theme here that for the most part, we should be eating like a lot more fruits and vegetables than we should be.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate this. We'll do this again. All right.
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Robert.
All right. Thanks. See you.
Yep.